بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. اللهم علمنا ما ينفعنا وانفعنا بما علمتنا وزدنا علما وعملا وهدى وتقا ورشادا برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. اللهم فقهنا في الدين وعلمنا التأويل. اللهم إنا نعوذ بك من علم لا ينفع ومن قلب لا يخشع ومن نفس لا تشبع ومن دعوة لا تسمع. نعوذ بك اللهم من هؤلاء الأربعة. ما بعد، فحياكم الله جميعا. ونعتذر التأخير. I had another lesson that I had to attend myself, so that's why I couldn't start others earlier because of the class I had to attend. فنبدأ الآن اليوم إن شاء الله الدرس الخامس والعشرون. هذا هو الدرس الخامس والعشرون. طيب، ناخذ مراجعة سريعة with regards to the سائمة. We were discussing zakat of the سائمة. What is the meaning of سائمة من بهيمة الأنعام? What is the meaning of السائمة?
Yes, Saima refers to that the cattle they should graze most part of the year on their own. That is at least more than 6 months, or at least 6 months. But if they are fed mostly by the owner, then they will not be Saima.
طيب أحسنت. What about if it's a privately grown field pasture, this will be considered fed by the owner, or this will be considered natural grazing?
The owner has set aside some of his field specifically for the cattle, so it will come under Saima. It will not come under Saima.
Barakallah fiqh. طيب. Then it says we had different types of camels that we mentioned the other day. We said that if there are 5 camels.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, تفضل.
What is the hikmah behind this Saima thing? Like, what is the hikmah? Is it like because this is involving human effort, so that is why this is from the mercy of Allah? Is it so like this?
Yes, indeed, because when it is sa'ima, naturally grazing, then صحيح. See, let's say the asl is with regards to your wealth. The asl is, the base principle is that there is a haqq for the fuqara in your wealth that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made obligatory. Then let us exclude from this haqq the case in which you have to spend yourself on the cattle that you own, and you have to feed them. So in this case, then because of the expenses that you bear to feed your cattle, then you are waived off of the zakat. So let us put it this way. Is it clear? Is inshallah?
Yes, clear.
Alhamdulillah. طيب. ثم ذكر if there are 5 camels, then you have to give 1 shot. And likewise, every 5 1 shot until it's 25. Then in 25 you have to give bint makhad. What is a bint makhad? How old is a bint makhad? We said
bint makhad is like a 1 year old.
1 year old. And why is it called bintu makhadin?
Because the camel's mother is pregnant.
أحسنت. Okay. Then he says that وإذا بلغت 36. So from 25 to 35 bint makhad. From 36 to 45 bintu labun. That is the one that is 2 years old. And what is bintu labun? What does it mean? What is the meaning of bintu labun? Why is it called bintu labun?
Because by that time the mother of that 2-year-old camel is expected to be that she starts giving milk.
أحسنت. فإذا بلغت 46 إلى 60, from 46 to 60, فيها حقة. What is a حقة? How it's a 3-year-old camel. Why is it called حقة? لأنها استحقت طرق الفحل لها. استحقت it's now time for it to be impregnated. Then فإذا بلغت 61 إلى 75 from 61 to 75 فيها جذعة, and that is the four-year-old camel. And we said that it's called جذعة. We couldn't really figure out يعني why is it called جذعة the other day, because I couldn't understand what they mean by لأنها تجذع إذا سقط سنها. Later after يعني referring to the dictionaries, I realized that by تجذع they mean here that it starts, sort of after the teeth fall, it starts teething and it starts جذع يجذع means يعني تدليك. تدليك is like when just like when the little babies, the teeth, they start teething, they start rubbing their gums against something. So this is called teething, or يعني this is called يعني this فعل of جذع يجذع is referring to, I think, that. And when the teeth fall, they start sort of maybe rubbing it against something. So this is why it's called جذع. Okay, then it's called فإذا بلغت 76 إلى 90 from 76 to 90 ففيها بنتا لبون, then two-year-old camels, and then فإذا بلغت 91 to 120 then حقتان, and after that في يعني for every 40 we have بنت لبون, for every 50 حقة. طيب. Then now let's move on to the sadaqah of the ghanam. And ghanam is referring to here. Ghanam refers to what? Two animals?
The sheep and goat.
أحسنتم. قال في سائمتها إذا كانت 40 إلى 20 و100, يعني from 40 to 120. تفضل شيخ.
Sheikh, what is the difference between like shat and ghanam? Are they interchangeable, or do they refer to or the sheep, one for sheep, one for goat?
لا, shat refers to one of any of sheep or goat. يعني one goat or one sheep, both can be referred to as shat. Ghanam is the ism jama'. يعني ghanam always refers to the يعني in the collective, you can say noun for both sheep and goats. يعني goats or sheep يعني collectively they will be called ghanam. Ghanam يعني generally والله أعلم, if I don't remember that if it يعني in slang we use ghanam in slang, but I don't think that we can use ghanam يعني in the Fusha. Ghanam is just like يعني نعم is refers to livestock generally. نعم. النعم, الأنعام, both of them, they refer to the livestock, and they are inclusive of, نعم is inclusive of the cows, the camels, and the sheep and goats. But likewise, يعني, it doesn't have a mufrad there. So likewise, as far as I remember, the ghanam doesn't have a mufrad, and it's يعني a collective noun, and it's you can say يعني it refers to goats and sheep, plural, and it's plurally, not like if there is say, if you want to refer to the singular, you'll have to use shat. Wallahu a'lam. صح, it's correct that you can use shiyah as well for the jama', but ghanam is يعني refers to both the sheep and goats at the same time. Wallahu a'lam, inclusive of both. قال في سائمتها إذا كانت 40 إلى 20 و100, if it is سائمة and from 40 to 120, then there you have to give out one shot. فإذا زادت على 20 و100 إلى 200, from 120 to 200 فيها شاتان, you have to give out two goats or two sheep. فإذا زادت على 200 إلى 300 ففيها 3 شياه. فإذا زادت على 300 ففي كل 100 شاة. Even you can write down the numbers for each type of animal. For example, with camels, you can note down the numbers 5, 10, 15, 20. This is one goat, one sheep, one goat, one sheep. Then after 25, you can write number 25, a checkpoint, bintu makhab. Then you can write, for example, the next is 35 or 36. On 36, you write bintu labun. So write next checkpoint is 36. Then 46, hiqqa. Then 61, jad'a. Then you move to 76. Likewise 91. Then 120, وهكذا. So you can write down those numbers so that it is easier for you to to remember the sort of, checkpoints. So we have 5, 25, 36, 46, 61, 76, 91, 121, and then finally of course in case of 130, then في كل 40 بنت لبون وفي كل 50 حقة. Likewise for ghanam, you can write these checkpoint numbers. For example, you can write 40, then you can make the next one as 120, then 200, and then 300, and then likewise 400, 500 في كل 100 شاة. 40, then 121, two goats. Then 201, 3, and this one, notice this, the 201 to 400, or to 399, right? There will be 3 shia. Here it's important to notice this, that when it says that فإذا زادت على 200 إلى 300 ففيها 3 شياه، فإذا زادت على 300 ففي كل 100 شاة. You won't reach the 4 goats and 4 sheep until you reach the number 400. So this means like from 40 to 121 goat, 121 to 201 2, and then 201 to 399. There will be 3 goats or 3 sheep. And then later on, once you reach 400, then it will be 4 shia. طيب يا شباب اوكي نعم الآن
can I just can you just check for once for camel, if I would just like to check my knowledge.
Yes, please.
It is if the number is like 210 camels, 210, so it will, if in that case it will be 40 40 40 40 then 50. Is it correct? 40 4 times, that
yes, yes,
four
perfect.
bint laboon and 1 hiqqa. Is it?
Absolutely perfect. One, and you make it 40 for 4 times, that makes it 160 plus 50, 200 grams.
Okay.
After from 130 onwards, there is no multiple of 10, except that you will find a combination with 40 and 50 with it. We gave an example yesterday of 130. We said that 40, 40, and then 50. And we gave an example of 140. We said that 50, 50, and then 40. Then 150, we said 50, 50, 50. 160, we said 40, 40, 40, 40. 170, we said 40, 40, 40 plus 50. 180, we would say, how would you, now 50, 50 and 40, 40. 190, again, this is a little bit 190. How will you solve 198?
This is 50, 50, 50, then 40.
Oh, perfect. Yes, likewise. So there is no multiple of 10 after from 130 onwards, except that you will find some solution for it within these multiples of 14, 50. طيب ثم قال رحمه الله فإذا كانت سائمة الرجل ناقصة عن 40 شاة, if it is less than 40 sheep and goats, فليس فيها صدقة إلا أن يشاء ربها. There is no صدقة in it. So the nisab of the sheep and goats is 40. ولا يجمع. طيب these are masail that are relatively new to us. It says, and these are generic for all, for the sadaqah of the ghanam, of the baqar, of the camel, for all of them. قال ولا يجمع بين متفرق ولا يفرق بين مجتمع خشية الصدقة. Any idea what this masala is referring to?
Sheikh, this this seems to be a situation like when people have each one like some people have for 40 goats, suppose there are 3 individuals, they have 40 goats, so they combine all their goats, and so it becomes like 120. So they in that case they will say that okay, it is from 40 to 120, so I'll have to pay only one zakah. But if it was the original situation, so each would have had to pay like one for one each. So it
One
would have
each.
been
So
total like
yeah.
1 3. So now if they combine, it will be like only one goat then if they combine, because the range continues till 120.
أحسنت. And here it says ولا يجمع بين متفرق, يعني you don't combine them to run away from يعني a greater amount of zakat, and you cannot يعني separate that which you have combined. For example, and if there are two people who partner يعني in the ownership of the cattle, and throughout the year they have their cattle combined, and it reaches the number, for example, you say it reaches the number 80, 40 goes for each person. Yani they, since their mal is originally combined, that's how they yani conduct their affairs. So it will yani in this case they will have to pay one goat. Yani because from 40 to 120 it's one, right? Lakin مثلا just like you gave an example of even those يعني ولا I want to give an example ولا يفرق بين مجتمع خشية الصدقة. So for example, if someone had like 30 goats, and the other person had 90 goats, and they were all, and they had them together in one place. So when it reaches مثلا 121, let us say 31 goats and 90 goats. So if it reaches 121, then they will have to, because they have their yani amwal, they have their cattle combined, they will have to give out 2 goats or 2 sheep, because it reached the number 121. So what do? They yani just before the time for sadaqah comes, he takes his 31 goats away, and the person is left with the 90 goats, so that they only have to end up giving only 1 goat. So this kind of a hila is not allowed, of course. لا يجمع بين متفرق ولا يفرق بين مجتمع خشية الصدقة. ممتاز. ثم قال وما كان من خليطين فإنه نعم. Yes.
Like what if a person, like, will this also come under the hila? That if this is the situation like 121, what they do is that, oh, if they think like this, we have to give the zakah, so let us slaughter 1 goat, so we will eat it off. So this will also come under hila, like, so they'll slaughter and eat it, and just for the fear, like, that they don't have to give zakah, so they have consumed the goat.
Interesting. So that they would give, instead of giving 2, they would only give 1, and 1 they would be able to consume. If it is running away from sadaqah, then there is a general qaida of the Sharia, يعني يعني what's the qaida? SubhanAllah, I forgot. الجزاء من جنس العمل, or يعني generally there is the qawaid of Sharia that prevent the hiyal from coming into place. But and if he genuinely does that without the niyyah of the المحتال يعامل بنقيض قصده أو كما يقال, and the one who is doing the hila, he is treated in the opposite manner of what he actually intended. So in this case, if it was genuinely a hila and he was trying to run away from sadaqah, then of course he will be punished, and it will be taken from him. Otherwise, if he genuinely had consumed, and the adad had reduced, then of course then he will be exempted. Yes, you wanted to add something here?
No, Sheikh, just I wanted to, like, this comes under that qaida, like al-umur bi maqasidiya. Is this under that qaida fiqh al-kubra?
Al-umur bi maqasidiha. Al-umur bi maqasidiha usually والله يحتاج إلى نظر. يعني this يعني there might be this قاعدة. See, these are قواعد كلية كبرى, right? And then within these قواعد there are قواعد صغرى. So this قاعدة that I mentioned of that this the one who does حيلة يعامل بنقيض قصده, let me just quote you this the nas of this qaida. ذكروا في هذه القاعدة نص موسوعة القواعد الفقهية المعاملة بنقيض المقصود. يعني generally it comes under المعاملة بنقيض القصد، المعاملة بنقيض المقصود أو بنقيض القصد. But does it come under الأمور بمقاصدها؟ هذا يحتاج إلى نظر. يعني does it come under the heading of that? There is a very good يعني book in and there are موسوعات القواعد الفقهية encyclopedias and they contain يعني a lot of قواعد which have been collected from different books. And then there is a يعني but these books they also mention the different alfaz, but sometimes difficult to refer to them or difficult to search in them if you're looking for the relation between the قاعدة كلية كبرى and the قواعد صغرى, or the you can say the sub قواعد. That's those قواعد that are sort of branch of the قاعدة كلية كبرى. There's a book called الممتع في القواعد الفقهية. الممتع في القواعد الفقهية. You will find the PDF of it inshallah. الممتع في القواعد الفقهية. This is it mentions the most important قواعد فقهية with the short explanation of it, and it also mentions the قواعد that come under the heading of a bigger قاعدة, of a larger قاعدة. So here inshallah, if you can look into this book بإذن الله, you might be able to find this قاعدة في المعاملة بنقيض المقصود, and we might be able to also know whether it comes under the you can say the umbrella of الأمور بمقاصدها. فيحتاج إلى نظر هذا. I'm unable to right now judge, determine, so we need to refer to some book بإذن الله تعالى. طيب. ثم قال وما كان من خليطين فإنهما يتراجعان بينهما بالسوية. وما كان من خليطين خليطين those people who have their cattle mixed together and they have combined it. So for example, we give we mentioned a person having 31 or let's say 20, and the other person has 80. So 80 and 20, they combine to make it 100. They have to give up one goat or one sheep, and so how will they manage it amongst themselves? They will settle it by the other one compensating for the qima. For example, if the one goat or one sheep was given from the 80, then the one who is the owner of the 20% will give the qima 20%, the value of that goat or sheep, and compensate for it. ثم قال ولا يخرج في الصدقة هرمة ولا ذات عوار. هرمة is an old from haram, some kind of a sheep or goat that is very old and weak. These are not the kind of cattle that should be given out in sadaqah. ولا ذات عوار, the one that has any kind of a defect, that one that has any kind of a defect should not be given out in sadaqah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as the Prophet mentioned in hadith, إن الله طيب لا يقبل إلا الطيبة. On the other hand, the agent, the zakat collector, is also not supposed to collect or take the best of the lot for sadaqah, as the Prophet ﷺ mentioned to Mu'adh, وَإِيَّاكَ وَكَرَائِمَ أَمْوَالِهِمْ. كَرَائِمَ أَمْوَالِهِمْ means the most noble, the most valuable of their properties. These are not the ones that you're supposed to be taking, rather the ones you should be taking as the average quality or average type of the animals that one has. قال وفي الرقة. What is riqah referring to?
Is it silver?
أحسنت, it's referring to silver. قال في الرقة 200 وفي الرقة في 200 درهم ربع العشر. طبعا for silver we have few يعني terms that we can we used to refer to, for example رقة or ورقة. ورقة is it also refers to silver, and it's just like I think this is common with what I know of is wazn. Wazn can be called zina, and wasf can be called sifa. But I'm not sure if this is from the same bab. If this mithal is from the same bab, that because it's called wariq, it has a waw at the beginning, so it can be called riqa. I'm not sure if it's the same reason or if there's another reason, but generally it's referring to the silver. ورق, رقة, فضة, etc. قالوا في الرقة في 200 درهم ربع العشر. في 200 درهم ربع العشر. And they meant this is the nisab of the fidda. This is the nisab of fidda. If the silver reaches this nisab, then one has to give out ربع العشر, the quarter of 1/10, which means 2.5%. Like, how much is 200 dirham? How much is 200 dirhams? In grams, how much is 200 dirhams in grams?
What I have heard, Sheikh, or read or heard, like it is like 600, 595, or like close to 600 grams.
It's they say that's 595 grams. There's 200 dirhams. 200 dirhams is 595 grams. And they mention with regards to 20 مثقالا of which refers to 20 dinars, they say it is 85 grams of gold. 85 grams of gold and 595 grams of silver. But where did we get this from? We got this from a number of there are a number of ways of calculating or number of you can say information that we collected from different sources, and then we were able to evaluate this. Ibn Khaldun mentions, he says اعلم أن الإجماع منعقد منذ صدر الإسلام وعهد الصحابة والتابعين أن الدرهم الشرعي هو الذي تزن العشرة منه 7 مثاقيل من الذهب والأوقية منه 40 درهما. He says there is ijma' from the very beginning or from the very time of Sahaba that the dirham shari, and the shari dirham or the dirham which we are referred to in the ahadith that has been mentioned in the nusus, in the texts of the Sharia, it is the one, because the dirhams have been changing over time. The time of Sahaba, the dirham might have a particular weight. Later on, when the currency was issued by another government, they might have minted a coin that had more weight than the coin that was the weight that the coin had in the time of Sahaba. So the weight of the coin, it changes from one era to another. So which one is the one referring to or being referred to in the ahadith? So he says that the one being referred to in the ahadith, and he uses the term ad-dirham al-shar'i, he says هو الذي تزن العشرة منه 7 مثاقيل من الذهب. 10 dirhams will be equal to 7 مثاقيل من الذهب. And الأوقية منه 40 درهم. طبعا أوقية refers to 40 dirhams. So what is important here are two things. And he says 10 dirhams is equal to 7 مثاقيل. 7 misqals, you could say in English. 1 misqal is refers to generally the dinar. Okay. What about the dinar? Dinar, we found the dinar and misqal are synonymous. We found the dinar from the time of Abdul Malik ibn Marwan. we found it to be 4.25 grams. We found it to be 4.25 grams. مثلا لحظة. نعم. So from the time of Abdul Malik ibn Marwan, this is from what I remember I had read. They found the one dinar equal to 4.25 grams. بس خليني أتأكد من هذه المعلومة if it is in the time of Abdul Malik ibn Marwan or I'm unable to source this where I had read it, but this is what I remember, that the dinar was found out to be 4.25 grams. Now, if it is one dinar is 4.25 grams, then in other you can say words, the 10 dirhams will be equal to 7 multiplied by 4.25. 29.75. So 10 dirhams, in other words, is equal to 29.75 grams of gold, of silver. And that is based on the fact that one dinar was found out to be 4.25 grams from the time of Abdul Malik ibn Marwan, if I'm not wrong. Okay, based on this, 1 dirham will be equal to 2.975 grams of silver. And if we say that the nisab of the silver is 200 grams, you multiply this number into 200. Let's use this one, 2.975, and it equals 595 grams. This is how we found out the nisab of fidda, 595 grams. What about gold? We said 20 مثقالا, 20 مثقالا or 20 dirhaman. This is easier, nisab of gold, as we found that the dinar is 4.25 grams. So we simply have to multiply 20 dinars with 4.25, and we got the answer 85 grams. So this is how we calculated the nisab of gold and silver in grams.
Sheikh, can I ask a question?
Yes, please.
Sheikh, what is the link between like dinar and dirham? Like 1/4, one.
Like, that is in terms of their value. That was in terms of their value. That 3 dinars will be equal to 12 dirhams. This is in terms of their value at the time of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
Sheikh, like, why did we multiply like 7 with that 4.25 to get 29.75? Why did we multiply like 7 with 4.25?
Come again, please. Come again.
I'm saying, like, why did we multiply? Like we got 29.75 like by multiplying by multiplication of 7 and 4.25.
Yes.
Like, why did we? I'm not getting a missed point. Like, why
okay, I'll tell it to you. See, mithqal is the same as dinar. Okay, if that is correct, what are we talking about? The value here or the weight?
The weight.
The weight. 1 dinar is equal to 4.25 grams. So we want to measure how much is 7 mithqals equal to in weight. So what do? In order to know, See, this first point is proven by, let me just broaden this. This first point is proven by ijma, mentioned by Ibn Khaldun. Okay, that's the first point. Second point is proven by weighing the dinar from the time of apparently Abdul Malik ibn Marwan, if I'm not wrong, I'm not forgetting. Now, if these 2 points are proven, so it means that 10 dirhams is equal to 7 dinars. Okay, 10 dirhams is equal to 7 dinars. So 10 dirhams is equal to 7 multiplied by 4.25 grams in terms of the weight. 7 multiplied by 4.25. That is equal to 29.75 grams. Now do you understand?
Yes, Sheikh. So mithqal is equal to one mithqal is 1 dinar.
One mithqal is dinar. Absolutely. Mithqal and dinar are synonymous. And 1 mithqal is equal to 1 dinar. Sorry, 1 dinar is equal to 1 mithqal is equal to 4.25 grams. واضح? Clear now?
Yes.
Right. I have a question here. Yes. Yes. Right. So if this is clear, this is now it's clear how we reached the nisab of both. And everything regards to this is clear. Okay, perfect. Right. نأتي الآن إلى المسألة التالية. You can maybe take a screenshot of this if you want to. ثم قال فإن لم يكن إلا 900 فليس فيها صدقة إلا أن يشاء ربها. يعني if it is less than 200 dirhams, then there is no zakat on it. طيب. نأتي الآن إلى المسائل التالية. Maybe if you can take a screenshot and share it in the group, that will be inshallah a great service, barakallah fi, so that we can share it with the rest as well. قال ومن بلغت عنده الإبل. طيب, just before we get into these masail related to ibil, wanted to ask here, what about the cash that we have? Does it take the same ruling as gold and silver? If it takes the same ruling as gold and silver, then which ones are we supposed to, or which are we supposed to treat the cash as gold and consider the nisab of cash as same as nisab of gold? Or are we supposed to treat the cash as silver and consider the nisab of silver the nisab of cash? So generally, first question is, what is the reality of this fiat currency that we are dealing with today's time? What does it? What is it actually? These papers, what do they represent? What is the concept of it?
They represent they are actually representing the amount of gold that they claim it is with the bank. So they are in lieu of gold or something like that.
So the asal is, the default was that this currency notes actually were a kind of you can say a document that makes you, if you present it to the bank, it is you're entitled to take the gold from the bank. But in order to ease your dealings, instead of holding with you a bag of gold coins and it's weighty, etc., they said, okay, instead of doing this, let us replace this with notes. So you deposit the gold with us, and we issue some notes to you, so that it's easier for you to deal with. And whenever you present these notes to us, we can give you back the gold. This is the initial concept of the currency notes. This is how the currency notes, they were, or this is how they came into existence. Now, this is how the US has plundered lots of the wealth of the world, and lots of the gold of the world is with the US, and they are the taghut of our times. The US, I'm not wallahi, I don't understand why the people don't condemn it enough. Yani, or condemn these actions of the US enough. The economic terrorism that the US has, you can say, unleashed for the whole of the earth is immense, and it is perhaps it has a greater, you can say, affect it than perhaps the killings, even the killings that this country, this satanic country has carried out. The economic terrorism is number one. They came up with this idea of issuing the currency notes, and they made all the countries, or a lot of the countries, deposit lots of gold with them. And then they suddenly, one day, I think it was Ronald Reagan who says, okay, from now onwards, if someone demands the gold in exchange for the notes, we won't be giving it to them. And then from there onwards, now what you have to understand here, the fact that how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given an intrinsic value to gold. It inherently has a kind of a value, and it is, you can say, a natural currency. The insan is maftur. It is in its fitrah to consider gold and silver, especially gold, as something valuable, and its value is, you can always find, very stable. Throughout the history of mankind, gold has been very stable. Its value hasn't fluctuated the way, for example, something like Bitcoin fluctuates or anything else. Rather, it has been very stable, and that is why it is perhaps something. Indeed, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has put it in the fitrah, and Allah is the one who stabilizes the value of gold. And in the sense that never would you find in history, for example, that gold has reached an natural value. It has always been the natural form of currency, natural medium or tool for exchange amongst the mankind. Right now, and when it is something natural that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has put for the mankind, for his creation, there is a perfect balance that has been that must be associated with it. So, for example, if you mine gold, or and you would be when you mine gold, you would be adding currency, and you would be adding money to the market, right? You would be adding money to the market. Whenever you add some money to the market, there is an imbalance, or generally there is a difference in the commodities that are opposite to the cash, or to the money that has been, you can say, injected into the market. Now, what happens is that despite the fact that we have been mining gold for years, never was there any imbalance, you can say, between the commodities and the cash, or you can say the flow of the currency, or the injection of currency. And it never caused there to be a sudden, you can say, a drastic change in the demand and supply. So it was always very stable. Now, what happens is when you print notes, currency notes, these fiat currency notes, without pegging them to gold, as it was formerly it was pegged to gold. As long as it was pegged to gold, everything was stable. But when you keep printing the currency now without there being anything substantial behind it, there is no gold that it is pegged to. There is nothing that has any kind of a value, an intrinsic or inherent value for it. Then what happens is that you keep injecting cash into the market, and the commodities that opposite to it, they remain constant, or the variation or the increase that happens in those commodities is not as exponential as the printing of notes is, or at the pace which the printing of notes is done. Now, what the US does is that it keeps noting it down, and it's officially it's a kind of a debt that it takes from the Federal Reserve, and that debt has reached trillions of dollars now. So they keep printing these notes, and because of their the power that they impose on the rest of the world, they force them to deal in dollars. When they do this, what happens is now the dollars that are being produced and then being injected into the market, they have increased. So, for example, we had, if we say $1 trillion against all of the commodities in the world, Suddenly, the US prints another $1 trillion, and the commodities, on the other hand, they remain constant. Now, the issue is that when you have $2 trillion in the market and the commodities remain constant, then there is this imbalance of demand and supply. When there is this imbalance of demand and supply, the inflation would take place. The inflation would occur, and okay, who will be harmed by this inflation? Those who do not have, or those who have the same amount of cash, same amount of wealth and cash they had before the printing of these new notes. Who is the one who benefited from this? The one who printed these notes. So the US, for its own interests, has caused one of the greatest causes of this hyperinflation all around the world is the fact that this country, this terrorist country, it keeps printing. This is economic terrorism, and it must be taken into notice. It keeps printing the notes, and it forces others to deal in dollars. It personally benefits a lot because, on an individual level, you will always benefit from this. But it's on the macro level that you will be hurting the economy of the world economy, will be hurting the market generally. And the ones who suffer from this are the poorer countries or the rest of the world generally. So, so this is wallahi, one of the reasons, if you notice why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has, one of the hikam that they mentioned why riba was made haram is the fact that, that currency is created or it's consumed, or you can say it's taken against nothing from the commodities. And as long as the trading is done, there is any exchange of commodities and you earn profit from it, that's fine. But if you start earning profit on money itself, that means that money is creating money, and that further money is being injected into the market without there being any increase in the commodities on the opposite side. What this does is, on a macro level, it will cause hyperinflation, it will hurt the world economy in general, and this is what we have come to today. So, for example, if you look at a few decades before, you will find that a lot of things were much more cheaper. The same things, you have to buy them for a very high cost today, and this will keep increasing. This will keep continuing, and the inflation will keep increasing until people get rid of either the fiat currency altogether or they come up with some other solution. That is why some of the the rulers, they had suggested that we come up with a gold currency. Some of the very pioneers of Islamic finance, they suggest that we should come up with our own gold currency, which will bring back the balance that is required. But of course, the ones who are with whom those who are imposing their power on the rest of the world, they either get those rulers killed or they don't let these ideas float in the market, so that they can manipulate and exploit so you can say the situation of the rest of the world. So they are benefiting a lot. All that they have to do is just print notes, and then they can further build weapons. They can spend it in whichever way they want. Their Federal Reserve debt has reached trillions of dollars, and they don't get affected by it. On the other hand, the poorer countries, if they have a debt of 100 billion, they have a debt of 50 billion. If they're unable to pay back their loans, they default. They reach a default, and they are forced by these organizations like the International Monetary Fund or the World Bank to pay back those loans. Otherwise, strict conditions will be imposed. They have to increase the prices, and the poor keep suffering. Ones who are enjoying are the ones, the powerful ones, sitting and resting in countries like the US. Anyways, so the point that we were trying to make here, that now the fiat currency is actually not pegged with gold anymore. It's not pegged with gold anymore. Previously it was pegged with gold. So this was one way we could benefit in terms of whether we should treat it like gold or we should treat it like silver. So should we consider the nisab of gold here, or should we take into consideration the nisab of silver? This would have helped as long as the fiat currency was pegged with gold. Now, because it's not pegged with gold and it has zero value of itself, but it is being, it's relied upon by the governments. The governments, they give, they authenticate it, they give it any kind of a value. And هذا مما عمت به البلوى, something that everyone is suffering, or you can say everyone has to deal with. There is no way out of it, and it has value, at least yani, in the society, even if it doesn't have value yani, in reality, but yani, you can say in your social transactions it does have value, and you can buy things against it. Given this, now the question has become more difficult. And now the fiat currency, is it supposed to be treated like gold and hence given the nisab of gold, or is it to be treated like silver and given the nisab of silver? This is a mas'ala that in which the ulama have differed, and some of them have mentioned that we should look into which one is yani, more beneficial for the fuqara. On the other hand, the others said, yani, okay, yani, looking into what is beneficial for the fuqara is something good, but we cannot make something mandatory upon someone which Allah has not made mandatory upon him. Yani how, just because you want to benefit the fuqara, you can't say that it is obligatory upon you to spend this amount of wealth. While he is, yani, for example, if the Sharia, yani, the text of the Sharia do not prove that yani, he is someone who is, you can say, مطلوب منه الزكاة, or someone who is asked to pay zakah or mandatory upon him. So in order to make something mandatory, obligatory, wajib upon someone, we must have a dalil. So they now discuss this mas'ala of gold and silver. They say that when the Prophet ﷺ set 200 dirhams as the nisab for fidda, and from other sources we get that it is 20 مثقالا من الذهب. So they say that this is because the 20 dinars in those times were actually equal to 200 dirhams, you can say almost, or generally, as they mentioned, yani, 3 dinars was equal to 12 dirhams, so it can be a quarter of a dirham. Anyways, there was this stable balance between the two currencies. Now you can say that the value of silver has plunged, yani, and it has reached a very low value, and it no longer is a sign of, you can say, the nisab of fidda is no longer a sign of ghina. And ghina means yani, someone who is not poor, right? Ghani here refers to someone who is wealthy and not poor. And they say that one of the zakat is supposed to be taken from the aghniya, as mentioned in the hadith of Mu'adh bin Jabal, that if they if they accept tawheed and they accept salat, then tell him, فَأَعْلِمْهُمْ أَنَّ اللَّهَ افْتَرَضَ عَلَيْهِمْ صَدَقَةً, Allah has made mandatory upon them sadaqah, تُؤْخَذُ مِنْ أَغْنِيَائِهِمْ, which will be taken from the wealthy ones amongst them, وَتُرَدُّ إِلَى فُقَرَائِهِمْ, and it will be returned to the fuqara from amongst them. So here it mentions that the sadaqah of zakat is supposed to be taken from the aghniya. And yes, in the yesteryears, in centuries ago, fidda or 200 dirhams was a good standard of that could be set for ghina, but it no longer is the case. So for example, 200 dirhams in that time would if we just for example say that the gold in today's time, I'm not sure what the latest value is, if it's 200 riyals per gram, and fidda, for example, 1 dinar will be equal to 4.25. So 1 dinar would be equal to 850 riyals. If 1 gram of gold is 200, 1 dinar will be equal to 850. Now, based on this, if we said that the quarter of a dinar is 1 dirham, so you divide 850 by 4 and you get 212. This is the value of 1 dirham. You multiply it with 200 and you find the nisab of silver. According to this, you will find it as 42,500 riyals. 42,500 riyals. Now, 42,500 riyals of savings for a whole year, it's indeed a good criterion for wealthiness or for ghina generally. Okay, now let us look at the value of silver today. One second. I think the current value is around maybe like 2.4 grams. So if you multiply 2.4 grams with 595, that is 1428 riyals, 1500. So where is 40,000 and where is 1500 riyals? So there is a big change in this because of the fall in the value of silver. So this is an issue indeed that is that must be addressed. So they said that the better standard, the more stable standard for ghina is gold, which has remained stable throughout these centuries, and hence we should in order to calculate the nisab of the cash, we should be associating it with gold, and hence, for example, if the price of the 24 karat gold in today, for example, if it is let's say 214 riyals, then multiply it by 85. Okay, one second. Maybe I got this a little wrong with silver. We said with regards to 1 dinar, 4.25 grams. Even if we say that it's 1/10. Okay, I took it from the nisab of subhanallah. That's with regards to the nisab of sariqa, wherein rubu dinar or 3 dirhams, if someone steals it, his hand is cut. But let us not take it from there. Let us compare it to the 20 masaa'il and 200 dirhams. So 20 dinars was the nisab for gold, 200 dirhams was the nisab for silver. 20 dinars would mean 85 grams of gold, طبعا. Okay. What I'm trying to evaluate here is what would be the value of silver in that time, for example. So if silver is 1 dirham, let's say 1 dinar is equal to 10 dirhams. And 1 dinar is okay, so if we calculate and if we compare the dirham and dinar based on the nisab of sariqa, which is 1/4, then it turns out to be 40. Otherwise, at least 20,000, something around 20,000 riyals, 18,000, 20,000. This the working, I need to show it to you because I'm doing it on my calculator, so it's not clear to you. But I will show it to you, inshallah. In the next class, we can do the working together, and we can also take into consideration the comparison between the values of silver and gold. Anyways, so 20,000 riyals generally for the whole year, savings of 20,000 riyals is a better and a more stable standard of ghina than perhaps only 1,300 riyals, 1,400 riyals. So based on this, they said that the gold should be the standard, and the cash should be associated with gold instead of silver. So inshallah, this mas'ala we can further expound on it in the next class. I think I have taken a lot of time today from you all. So inshallah, we will discuss this issue in the next class again. بإذن تعالى نقف هنا نكتفي بهذا القدر وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.